So we're gonna jump right into this. So I'm gonna pull this video. Do not mind the video quality. This is literally from like 30 years ago that John Cleese posted this, and you can actually find it on his Twitter if you look it up. I think John Cleese versus the left and the right, and it will pop right up. That's how I originally found it, and then help me locate it on YouTube. All right. So here we go, guys. I'm gonna bring this up, and hopefully you guys enjoy, and then we'll talk about it.
Seriously, though, we've heard a lot about extremism recently. A nastier, harsher atmosphere everywhere, more abuse and bother boy behavior, less friendliness and tolerance and respect for opponents. All right, but what we never hear about extremism is its advantages. Well, the biggest advantage of extremism is that it makes you feel good because it provides you with enemies. Let me explain. The great thing about having enemies is that you can pretend that all the badness in the whole world is in your enemies and all the goodness in the whole world is in you. Attractive, isn't it? So, if you have a lot of anger and resentment in you anyway, and you therefore enjoy abusing people, then you can pretend that you're only doing it because these enemies of yours are such very bad persons. And that if it wasn't for them, you'd actually be good-natured and courteous and rational all the time. So, if you want to feel good, become an extremist. Okay, now you have a choice. If you join the hard left, they'll give you their list of authorized enemies. Almost all kinds of authority, especially the police, the city, Americans, judges, multinational corporations, public schools, furriers, newspaper owners, fox hunters, generals, class traitors, and, of course, moderates. Or, if you'd rather be an extremist on the hard right, no problem, fine, you still get a lovely list of enemies, only they're different ones. Noisy minority groups, unions, Russia, weirdos, demonstrators, welfare sponges, meddlesome clergy, peaceniks, the BBC, strikers, social workers, communists, and, of course, moderates. And upstart actors. Now, once you're armed with one of these super lists of enemies, you can be as nasty as you like and yet feel your behaviors morally justified. So you can strut around abusing people and telling them you could eat them for breakfast and still think of yourself as a champion of the truth, a fighter for the greater good, and not the rather sad paranoid schizoid that you really are.
It's
Oh,
fantastic.
I've watched that 3 times today, and I'm still laughing at this.
It's amazing how timeless that is.
Dude, it's amazing how
Really?
good comedy is that timeless. And obviously, John
Yeah.
Cleese is one of the best of all time. But it really is.
Uh,
But that is the video you wanted to show, and that brought up, which
yeah,
you uh, did not give me, even though that's the video you
I
wanted.
didn't. I
So
didn't.
here we are now watching this great video
It's
that
fantastic. I
was
hope you all enjoyed
like
that because
over
I was,
30 years old. So
yeah.
uh, now that we've seen it, the
Hmm.
beauty of it, right? This I keep giggling, uh, and
Control yourself,
also
Mike.
the moderates. Uh, Matt, go
I
ahead
love
and
that.
give your point of view on it. Then we'll move to Greg, and then we'll just kind of break it down from there.
My point of view is it's hilarious.
Yes.
It's spot on. It's genius. I mean, it hit every point. And what I do love about it, like I said, is it is complete. It's so timeless. I mean,
Yes.
the ideologies that obviously were around 30 years ago still exist today. They might have moved, you know, further out, possibly. I don't know. Uh,
Most definitely.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, it's amazing how similar it's remained over the years, and it's all because of that piece of human condition that makes you want to be the hero, right? And
Yeah.
I think what he said is so poignant and just perfect, really.
Yeah. Uh, and I have to agree with that. He nailed it. John Cleese. I don't think I've ever seen him not crush it. So
Yeah,
and seeing this
it's true.
video from 30 years ago and being a fan from Monty Python and then seeing him
Faulty
with
Towers.
Faulty Towers, which you introduced me to, this man
Love it.
and you see Faulty Towers now being attacked because it's not
Is
so
it?
PC. Yes, a couple episodes were moving, and John Cleese is very opposed to that.
Sold.
So it just makes me want to buy them on DVD and Blu-ray. You know what?
Right.
If I find them on Blu-ray tonight, I'm gonna buy them just because I want to support Faulty Towers 100%. So if I find them on Blu-ray tonight, like on Amazon or something, I'm on it. Greg, what did you think about this video? Did you have a different viewpoint? Did you agree with Matt, John Cleese? What you have to say?
Yeah, I think we can all agree moderates are the worst.
They are absolutely. That was the point of the whole thing, right?
That was clearly. Yeah, Greg's hated moderates for the beginning of time.
I don't, but they're definitely on the left. There's a hate for moderates, especially the Bernie Sanders crowd. Is that his name, Bernie Sanders? I forget him. Whatever.
Colonel
That guy every
Sanders.
day.
Are you talking about Colonel Sanders? Sanders.
I love all these
Colonel
names.
Sanders. Or are you talking about the Bernie Bros? The Bernie Bros is what you're talking about, all right? The Bernie Bros.
I'm just saying,
Bernie
I love Bernie's chicken. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, but your point is the Bernie Bros, right? Is those people that are clearly on the opposite side?
I know
of
some
moderates.
Yeah, I know some.
Yeah,
and they literally think moderates are the worst human beings on the face of this planet, and they should be stamped out of the political system.
Well, they're spineless,
And,
right? And they're.
But they're not, right? You're talking about the utilitarian type people, which. Okay, if we live in a spectrum, we don't live in these dynamic, these polar opposites. They don't actually exist. Most people are in the middle, right?
Well, I think people that ride fences are the worst, don't you?
I do.
Yes, Matt, we don't like you. So
well, being a moderate doesn't mean you're riding a fence, Matt. It just means you take a little bit from here and a little bit from there.
a little bit from column A.
So you're on the fence,
from column B,
and then you're taking some from this side and some from that.
No, you're trying. You're trying to be the milk toast fence
sitter. There's a door.
Tim Pool, right? And
There's
that's
a
not
door.
you because you've taken the stand multiple times.
Through the fence.
So Greg, looking at this video, right, and
I did look at it. Yeah.
I'm glad you looked at it, right? So we watched it. So. Well, I don't know if you did or not. You could have been on in your head like the first time we did this in the previous episode where you just nodded.
Good actor.
Right? So, no, it was horrible. I was like, this is so fake. Matt, you looked all right. But, so Greg,
you know what a joke
you
is,
said,
Mike?
Greg, eventually at one point, I'm actually going to answer that question for you.
Someday.
That way you actually know.
I'm waiting for it.
So, yeah, well, I like to keep you
ask
riveted.
your dang question.
I keep trying. So you're dealing with these people, right? I don't think I know enough Bernie Bros. The Bernie Bros I known in the past have actually shifted. One of them has become the biggest Bernie Bro, biggest communist I've known, has actually become very right libertarian, and because of that, as I found out as more time went on, I'm not seeing them as much. You're saying that you've seen these people, you know these people. Is this a video that you would share with them just to kind of be like, hey, look at this?
Yeah,
do you not see an issue here?
They're mostly rational, but they don't see themselves as extremists, right? And that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Is that people are like this, and they are, especially now. They don't see themselves that way. And then people call them out like, no, I'm just rational. I'm just, I figured something out.
If you're on the left, extreme on the left, you believe that extremists are right wing. If you're all the way on the right, you believe the extremists that exist are radical leftists. Right?
Yeah, but to hit back with Cleese,
no,
the moderate's your enemy. So obviously there's a huge problem. Obviously, us three have made it clear we dabble on both sides, right? We do dabble. We're very conservative on a lot of issues. We're
Hey,
also very
in politics.
yeah in politics.
And other things, mostly politics.
$286. But if you look at it, right, very classical liberal and everything else. It's we just want our
Yeah.
rights. We want everybody to be treated equal, and so we see a video like this that was made over 30 years ago. And what's the thought
Well,
process?
here's the thing, though. We see all this stuff, but everyone thinks it's new and they found something. It's happened over and over again in society. It's one of the reasons why like Rome and fell because they just got so luxurious. They started breaking apart, right?
Yeah, it fell from the inside, just like the Greek
They
democracy.
started inflating their currency. They had a welfare state. They had all this stuff that they were doing with the government, and it just collapsed. It was too top heavy. America, we're looking at that right now, right? I mean, we're looking at a government that keeps interfering over and over again. So when the right says, no, we got to stop. I mean, there's a reason for that because that collapse is going to hurt a lot more than the little. I mean, you could be a debater, right? But my argument would be, as a libertarian, as an Austrian economics type person, that
Right.
the collapse is going to be much worse than the minor, I guess, crap you got to deal with now.
Yeah, I
Right?
think a lot of people that talk about that, you have to destroy it to build it back up better. I don't think they're clearly thinking. I don't think they're really
They
looking
want
at far in
They don't
advance.
want to build anything different. They want to just have socialism or communism. We've done it. Like, give me something new, right? Now, if you say I want to break it, and what I want to do is everyone's gonna like have a vote on their cell phone, or there's gonna be this, certain new technological, I don't know, commune thing. Like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's have that debate. We could start using technology to actually advance society a little bit more in terms of government. But these people are not looking for new. They're looking for the same old crap we've done before.
Yeah. So as we discuss this, people will find out as we post new videos. This country is clearly a country of reform, and now, as we fell a little bit behind in the news that we've discussed, it's clear to a lot of people who've been keeping up to date, be it mainstream or independent news, that there have been people in this. I don't even want to say Black Lives Matters leaders, because I see a difference between the protests and these so-called leaders. Uh, the BLM is clearly focused on, getting a point across peacefully, saying that, well, Black lives do matter, and they had to deal with a lot of crap throughout society through many years that maybe they have not personally had to deal with. Sometimes, yes, and then but their parents and grandparents and father down have, and they've heard these stories. But then you have the people that are so-called leaders saying, we're trained Marxists. We're here to get Trump out of
Hmm.
office. Or on CNN, they had that leader who said, we're here to, if we don't get what we want, we're here to burn it down, literally, or figuratively, which just to me sounded stupid. And I'm like, now you're just not even trying to take a stand. You're just trying to cover up what you said
You got
sounded
to take a step
weird.
back on that stuff, though, Mike. What you're seeing is honestly what we're seeing
Yeah,
is
go ahead.
cities. We're seeing cities. I don't live in the city. Never lived in the city, really.
But what kind of cities are we seeing this at?
Yeah, New York, Detroit. I mean, Detroit's a little different. I don't want to say Detroit. Obviously, Seattle, okay, Washington D.C., these Chicago, these big cities, okay. And everyone thinks that the news and everything happening in these big cities represent in the entirety of humanity. We talked about Hollywood, right? Also,
Yeah.
thinking everyone is X, Y, Z, and they're wrong, you know. So we need to start taking a step back. There's this whole other universe out here on how people live, and it's not like these people live in the city. I think they're crazy. I think they're in the cities. They're having a psychosis. They're having a problem, and they're saying how bad their cities are, and then they're trying to say, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to change your city too. We're going to change your township. We're going to change your state. Out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here. I don't
But
want to hear it. It's not the way it works over here.
but the areas that you're seeing, right? And I don't mean to play like this side versus the other side, but it's clear that the sides that we're seeing, right, is it's these Democratic-run cities that had the power to change these laws that they are now saying that they're for, and as these protesters say that we need to change these laws, they're saying this country is this way when they could have already had their local or their state as well change these laws because they're democratically run to be like, hey, we're going to change these rules. We're going to change these. Our police precinct in this city will no longer be able to do this. This is what we expect out of them. They could have changed this, but they never did.
Yeah, but I don't want to put too much
kept.
pressure on them either
I'm not
because
trying to say I'm trying to put too much pressure on them. I'm
no,
saying
no,
that when
I
they've had the ability.
yes.
Now,
However,
now they
there
are
are things in
protecting the other
society that
things.
takes time to do
Okay.
that you don't have the clout to do, even if you're a Democrat or Republican.
Yeah, you can say that, but when you're running a city that's been Democrat for 60-something years, and the people
Well, I'm not saying
been,
everything, but if you're going to link the Black Lives Matter
no,
stuff, and you want to talk about other stuff, that's true.
No, I'm complaining about the cities where a lot of the stuff is going down has been democratically run for like 50 years, bare minimum, and they are going, yeah, our government needs to do something. You're their government, so do something about it. Instead of pushing it on somebody else, like the federal government, and then they blame Trump. And I'm at the point where I'm like, this is so ridiculous that why don't you do something? Why? Now I'm like, maybe I will vote for
You would
Trump.
think that you would think that they are oases in this horrible country. All these democratically run cities and states. The way they talk, you'd think that that's the place to go. But ironically, that's really where the worst problems are.
Yeah, well, they hold the law until everything gets brought up against a different enemy, right? So you see all these cities that dealt with these problems.
Yeah.
Even Baltimore.
Just
Look
like
at
a
Baltimore last year, right? Baltimore had so many issues, right? And a lot of corruption. And as we're finding out, a lot of areas are democratically are having. When I say democratically, I don't mean by voting. I mean the Democrat Party. Was it 4 people in Toledo just got arrested for accepting bribes? Baltimore has been having so many issues of their money being totally misplaced, and a conservative guy showed up. Was it last year? Who's like, I'm going to start a thing just to clean up the garbage in Baltimore because the city needs help.
Yeah,
and it was trashed throughout. When I say trash, I mean politically and
it's a political
media-wise.
stunt, Mike.
Yeah, and but as they interviewed the local residents, they loved it. They thought it was great that somebody came from elsewhere.
They're cleaning.
And was like, hey, I care about you. I care about this. It does not matter about political anything. No ideology matters. I'm here to help the community. And the people that live in the community was like, this is
football. Great. It's a spectator sport, and that's what politics is. Yeah, it's just like football, right? Like, I got my team. I don't got to go out there in the field, right, and play. I can just sit here and cheer them on. Rah, rah, rah. It's not the way it works.
And to be fair, I mean, this stuff happens on both sides. There are corrupt Democrats. There are corrupt Republicans. I mean, if you're a politician, you're most likely corrupt. I think that's how it goes. But yeah, I thought that was hilarious when they went in to clean it up, and they were just bashed all over social media. Can you believe what they're doing? What are they doing? They're cleaning up the city for political reasons. But are they cleaning it up? I don't give a crap.
What doesn't matter the reasons?
Right.
It doesn't matter what you think the reasons are. The fact that they're willing to take the time out of their life, their day, and get it done, that's charity. That's huge.
Spend too much time on the context, and the context of things is important, but maybe sometimes you should
Yeah.
look at the instead.
Well, that was the context
Yeah.
of it, though, was that he was just doing it because he cared. He just wanted to help out, and
On his end,
and it
that's the
inspired,
context. Yeah.
and it inspired multiple avenues of that, right? So
It inspired multiple political stunts. That's what you're
yeah,
saying, Mike.
yeah, they're helping people all these communities. But real quick, just before we move on, just touch base again on John Cleese. So obviously,
Love you, John.
don't we all? He's.
We
I love
do.
you, John,
Well, dude.
too. I love you, Joe Rogan, and
Love you, Joe.
But yeah, both you guys, you can be
So-
on the show if you want.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Dave Chappelle.
Anytime.
I don't know how many times
Yeah,
we
Dave
gotta say
Chappelle.
this.
Oh yeah.
So you're like heroes to us without even knowing it. But looking at John Cleese's
He knows.
view here, as you should, and looking at John Cleese's voice here, he hit alt left, alt right, imaginary, and so obviously that's something we got to look at. And obviously we do see alt right. Obviously we see a lot less. We hear it brought up a lot more, but we don't actually see it. We just hear it brought up.
See it. I mean, sometimes there's like 8 people that show up at a protest, I guess. I mean, I hear it a lot, like you said. I don't see a lot of it. There's a couple things here and there.
And the problem with that isn't right is that anybody who is just naturally, I don't know, conservative or on the right is called alt-right.
Bingo.
Sometimes.
That's hitting the nail on the head. That's why you hear about the alt-right all the time, because everybody on the conservative side is considered alt-right. Even people like Ben Shapiro, whether you like him or not,
He's been called
he's a Jew,
alt-right.
and he's not a white supremacist. He's been called a Nazi.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
But he's Jewish.
He's the most
He is Jewish.
He is the most Jewish public figure that I can think of, and the fact that they call him a Nazi alt-right is ridiculous. It's the same thing that when they called Daryl Davis a racist, a black man who has done so much for this world by speaking with KKK members and Nazi members and getting them to realize their beliefs are garbage, has been called
Normalized
a
racism
racist.
could be the worst type of racism.
Yeah.
That's a good debate we should have.
Yeah. All right, Greg, you go ahead and defend that position.
Pass.
I see that a lot.
Good call,
I see
good
that
call.
a lot. And I see I see the frustration in a lot of black individuals who are conservatives, who just because of their viewpoints, their ideology, they're called horrible names by not only people of their own race, but you have white leftists, calling black people racist because they
middle
vote
class
for
white
Trump,
people.
or they're conservative. A black individual.
He's
You
back.
froze for a second.
I'm back, better than ever.
And he's
All right,
back.
you may want to go back 5 seconds and restate what you just said.
Yeah, I was watching a video. A black man, he was out at a protest, had a "Make America Great" hat again. Make America Great again hat on.
That again.
When were we a hat?
And because he was wearing that hat, all of a sudden, all these people start calling him Uncle Tom and racist. And it's like, there's no need for that. Why don't you ask him what do you believe in, or what are your views on this? I heard President Trump say this, which I thought was incredibly racist, and I've never actually heard an example. But what do you think of that?
Well, I've heard paraphrases, right, where they have not said the full sentence that made Trump sound racist. There's good people on both sides, and then he goes on to condemn white supremacy and racism, but they don't say the second part of that paragraph. And a lot of people don't realize that things like that are the reasons why people like me, who've been very libertarian for, I don't know, 8, 12 years as well, like Greg, I'm like, I don't like any of you. And now I'm like, if you're going to lie this much about somebody who's caused me no issues, who really has shown a lot of promise for the country as a whole, and yeah, he says stupid stuff. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. He's just stupid. He says stupid stuff all the time. I don't care. I laugh at it because it's stupid. I don't let it go. Who cares? I'm gonna vote for the guy who I'm like, hey, this guy's policies have been pretty solid. They're not perfect, but you keep
What about
lying
the gal?
about him.
What
What's
about
up?
Joe?
Yeah.
What about
Joe
Joe?
Jorgensen.
Oh,
What about Joe?
I'm not anti her so far. Everything I've read, I haven't done a deep dive yet. I'm not
I
100%.
haven't either. I gotta look.
I'm not 100% on Trump yet, but here's the thing. I've never been more in the last 12 years leaning towards a Republican. And I am nowhere near what I was, let's see, pro-Trump. Like right now, I was nothing like that last election.
Well,
Now I'm like, you know what?
that's
I'm
like-
so sick and tired of these lies that I clearly see an agenda where I'm like, this is wrong. And we've talked about this in
Been
other
there.
episodes, and they'll be posted here
Yeah.
soon. Where social media and people just saying garbage, and you're like, if you take 5 minutes to actually look at anything and do research rather than claim the meme is the truth, and it's not even a meme. It's just garbage, right? Meme's supposed to be funny, kind of say something without saying it sometimes.
Memes are truth, Mike. Memes are truth.
Yeah, well,
Facts.
according to social justice activists, yes, but according to
Memes are more
people.
truthful than the Bible. Real talk.
You heard it here.
You're here to hear
You heard it
first.
here first.
And this may have been the first lie Greg has ever told you with a straight face.
I think that might be the first time anybody
No,
has
probably not.
ever uttered that sentence, though.
Right?
I really think it is.
That's why it's mine.
It is yours.
I could keep
It's all
it.
yours, Greg. We'll make
It's
sure
going into
you
the
get
history
all
books.
the credit. If you guys liked what you've seen so far, had a good time, please like, subscribe, and when I say like, I mean smash, and do subscribe. Hit that bell, make it go ding, and if you don't hear it, you shut up in here, all right? And
The
then
algorithm.
leave a comment. Give us your views.
Yes,
Let us
Matt,
know
thank
what you're
you.
thinking about. And
That's my line.
yeah, that's his line. All right. So here
Where
we
are
are.
click-throughs?
Hey, so all right, so we're gonna move on to the next episode, and AKA next topic. So here we are.
Segment.
Shut up, Greg.
Segmentation.
Matt and I are talking. So
The
Alright,
adults
so-
are talking, Greg.
yeah, that's right. We can't hear you. Your mic blocked you, thankfully, once again. So, all right, so we're gonna move on to the. And now I feel dirty. We're gonna move on to the next subject. All right. Hey, so if you guys, yeah,
Mike,
and
tell him about that. Tell him about the algorithm.
all right, I'll tell you about the algorithm. There's an algorithm. Also smash, because smashing is fun. I'm sure Matt and I are behind you.
You'll find out when you go search for it.
Oh, I'm behind you, all right, Greg.